Alone in labor when her millionaire family ignored her, one text revealed a heartwarming truth. Emma's heart raced as she leaned against the cold, sterile wall of the hospital staff room. She felt the first wave of labor squeeze her belly a tight grip, as if the universe conspired to press her into a moment that felt unbearably real. This was supposed to be a joyous occasion, but instead she felt utterly abandoned. Her affluent family indulged in lavish celebrations, shunning her for choosing a modest life as a single mother. And now, here she was in her scrubs, with the clock ticking closer to her due date, while thoughts of her family's opulent homes loomed large, casting shadows on her vulnerability. As the second contraction hit, she fumbled for her phone. With shaking hands, she sent a text that felt like an admission of defeat. "I'm in labor. I need help." It was a long shot, but desperation drove her to reach out. Each second ticked by painfully. Her breath came in sharp gasps while memories of her family's extravagant life filled her mind. Family vacations in the Bahamas, charity galas where she was never invited, all of it bleeding into despair. She felt the sting of neglect cut deeper, and there it was, the silence mocking her. No texts back. Then the pain rolled through her again, crashing like waves against the sturdy shores of her resolve. This was the life she'd chosen, yet the isolation clawed at her confidence. Would they ever understand? Would she ever fit into that world again? The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like the sound of discomfort echoing her thoughts. Hours passed, and Emma clutched the bed railing, her face damp with sweat as she fought through each contraction. The sterile smell of antiseptic was mixed with the haze of her frustration. Just as her heart sank with hopelessness, her phone pinged. A message lit up the screen. It was from Martha, her estranged aunt, the one family member who saw beyond the glitter. "Thinking of you. Are you okay? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Hope ignited with her reply. Emma's vulnerability bubbled to the surface as she typed back, her fingers trembling. "I'm in labor. No one will come." The response was almost immediate. "Don't worry, I'm coming." The warmth of those words wrapped around her like a comforting blanket, igniting a spark of hope. Maybe, just maybe, she wouldn't have to walk this road alone. But the hospital doors swung open, and her heart raced as she saw familiar faces: her mother, her sister, faces that once turned away. They stepped into her room, anxiety flickering in their eyes. Emma braced for the questions, the judgment that had always seemed to paint her life in shades of failure. Yet, at that moment, standing on the edge of labor and vulnerability, she realized this was more than just a family reunion. It was an opportunity. Could they finally see her? Could this be the moment of reckoning that she'd longed for? The air thickened with unspoken words, binding them all in that little room. Emma took a deep breath and prepared to voice the truths of her heart. Here stood the collision of dreams and reality, and she could feel it stirring like the baby inside her. What would she say? The tension heightened and time stood still, waiting for her voice to break the silence. Emma stared at her mother and sister, their faces etched with worry that almost mirrored her own. It was a contrast to the icy indifference she had grown so accustomed to. Yet there was no time to analyze the depths of their expression. Each contraction surged through her like a powerful tide. She wanted to cry, scream, but instead, she focused on the warmth ignited by her aunt's promise to help. "Why are you here?" Emma finally managed to ask, her voice shaky and strained. The intensity of the moment pressed in on her, and part of her wanted to retreat behind her walls of emotional armor. After all, had they really come out of genuine concern, or merely the guilt of knowing they had left her behind? I heard you were in labor," her mother stammered, glancing at the floor as if searching for the right words beneath the sterile tiles. "We're worried about you, Emma." Her chest tightened at these words. What was that warmth she felt? Was it concern or obligation? This family bond twisted painfully at her heart. She struggled against the wave of vulnerability washing over her. "I thought you didn't want to be part of my life anymore," she mumbled, each syllable dripping with the hurt that had haunted her for so long. Her sister stepped forward, eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We were scared, Em. You choose a different path and it was hard to understand. But that doesn't mean we don't care," she whispered barely above a breath. "We want to be here for you now." But how could they understand? All their lives had been filled with silver spoons and fancy vacations, while Emma's choices had led her down a rocky road of single motherhood. Her heart raced again and suddenly, another contraction surged through her. She gripped the bed railing tightly, her knuckles turning white, gasping through the pain. Everything she had been holding at bay exploded in that moment: fear, hurt, the overwhelming knowledge that this, right here, was the brink of something new. "Mom!" she called out, her voice catching in her throat. "I need you." A wave of realization swept through her at the sheer desperation and strength of that plea. It was no longer about disappointing them. It was about showing her strength even in vulnerability. The room seemed to shift as her mother rushed to her side, her hands shaking as they grasped Emma's. "What can I do?" Emma hesitated, vulnerability wrapping around her like a shroud. There was so much to unpack, to discuss. It felt like they were standing on the edge of a precipice, ready to leap into uncertainty. "I don't want to do this alone," she finally whispered, her voice cracking under the weight of her emotions. "I need someone to share this moment with. I need you both more than I ever thought possible." At that moment she felt the shift. Their eyes met, and she saw a flicker of understanding and awakening between them. Maybe, just maybe, this was a beginning rather than an end. But as the next contraction hit, sharper, more intense, she also felt the rising tide of fear: fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of facing a new future with family who barely knew her. Would they stand beside her for the long haul? Could she believe in their words, in their intentions? As the room filled with anticipation and worry, Emma's heart beat loud, not just from labor, but from the hope of healing that danced in the air. She took a deep breath and whispered, "I want you to see me, the real me," knowing the journey ahead might change everything. Outside, the rain began to fall, each droplet a soft reminder of renewal, washing away the dust of missed connections. What if, amidst the storm, they finally found a way to bridge their broken ties? Emma held on to that thought as the next wave approached, ready to face not just childbirth, but the possibility of a reunited family. What would this new chapter hold? She could only hope that her heart would lead the way through the fog ahead. The next contraction crashed over Emma like a tidal wave, both fierce and relentless. She squeezed her mother's hand, seeking comfort in the familiar warmth. Tears streamed down her cheeks, mixing pain with an unexpected flicker of hope. With every breath, she steeled herself, feeling the love and support of those around her. Maybe, just maybe, they weren't just here out of obligation. "Hold on tight, Emma," her sister whispered, leaning closer. "We're right here with you." With each wave of pain, Emma felt their presence grounding her. It was strange to think that their anxiety mirrored her own, yet there they were, a family she had feared would only judge her. "Are you scared?" her mother asked, concern etched into her features. Emma could barely respond, the contraction gripping her like a vice. But beneath that fear, there was something else: the thrill of becoming a mother, of bringing new life into the world. The pain subsided momentarily, granting her a sliver of wind. "A little," Emma finally admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I think I might be more scared of what happens after." Her mother's gaze softened. "We'll face it together. None of us know all the answers. We're learning as we go," she assured Emma, her voice steadying. Emma felt a warmth flicker within her, more akin to a reconciliation than the straightened arms of rejection she had grown used to. As another contraction hit, the sound of raindrops drumming on the window began to match the rhythm of her heartbeat. It forced her to think of nature, how it could be both chaotic and soothing, just like the life she was about to embark upon. In those moments of clarity, Emma wrestled with her insecurities. Would her family truly support her? This bond felt tentative, like a delicate thread waiting to snap. Yet so much depended on this moment. "Emma," her sister urged, pulling her from the depths of her thoughts. "Remember how strong you are. This is just the beginning. Look at you, about to bring this beautiful life into the world." The words hung in the air. Beautiful. Life. Two words she had struggled to wrap her mind around in the chaos of her past. But perhaps in sharing this moment she could embrace them both. "I want to believe that," she admitted as another deep contraction roared through her. She breathed through it, keeping her focus on her family standing at her side. reminding her that this fight wasn't hers alone. They were pushing her forward, gently egging her on in a way she hadn't expected. For the first time, uncertainty shifted toward excitement. Each contraction amplified not just the physical pain, but the realization of how far they had come since that painful separation. Emma felt the weight of old wounds, but it was now mixed with something lighter, like the first rays of sun breaking through gray clouds. "Let us breathe together, okay?" her mother suggested, mirroring the rhythm of Emma's breaths. They took deep inhales and exhales together, 3 hearts beating in synchrony. It was a simple act, but it stitched together the distance between them like an unbreakable thread. But just as her fear began to settle, a gnawing question wrapped itself around her heart. What if they left again after this? Could she trust them not to walk away when the going got tough? Emma's eyes drifted to the window where raindrops cascaded down, mimicking her worries. She had always been the strongest in her own way, but this was uncharted territory. She drew in a shuddering breath. "What if I can't do it?" she asked, the doubt spilling out as tears glistened in her eyes. "You can, and you will," her sister declared fiercely, squeezing her hand tighter. "You won't be alone this time, I promise." Yet, even as those words left her sister's mouth, uncertainty rattled in Emma's chest. She needed more than just empty promises, she needed actions, proof. As the next contraction surged, raw and visceral, Emma closed her eyes. She demanded the storm inside her to quiet and tried to listen closely to her heart. Was she ready to trust again? The sound of rain pounding against the window transformed into a promise, a chance for healing, for strength, for love. And yet the fear loomed large, waiting to see how this would unfold. One thing was clear. This wasn't just about giving birth anymore. It was about rising from the ashes of hurt, from the twin fears of being alone and being embraced. As she took one deep, steadying breath, Emma found herself staring at their hopeful faces, full of potential and love. Would they be there not just today but all the days to come? The next wave of intensity began its march back, pulling her into the moment again. She realized then, amidst the chaos of life and birth, the real question was clear: could she allow herself to believe in a future where love replaced loneliness? The world around Emma felt like a blur, colors swirling as she focused inward, each contraction amplifying the fire spreading through her body. Her mother's hand was a lifeline, steady and reassuring, grounding her in the moment. The room was filled with rich smells of antiseptic mingling, with the subtle warmth of her family's embrace. This moment, fraught with intensity and nerve, carried with it an undercurrent of unity that she had once thought impossible. "Breathe, Emma," her sister's voice cut through the haze, a beacon in the storm. "In and out, just like we practiced." Emma followed her sister's lead as the contraction began to ebb, the tumultuous waves receding momentarily. With every breath she took, each inhale felt like a step toward trusting them. All she had to do was hold on a little longer. Memories of past arguments, misunderstandings, and the painful distance that had pulled them apart flickered through her mind, but now they seemed almost distant, like a past life. There was a chance that today could change everything. The nurse entered, chatting softly to her mother. It gave Emma a moment to gather her thoughts. "You're doing amazing," the nurse smiled, glancing at the family surrounding her. "You've got quite the support team here." Emma's heart swelled at the sight of her family gathered close. They were each absorbing the gravity of the moment. She wished she could believe that this closeness was more than just a temporary measure, but a real commitment. "Just keep pushing, okay?" her sister urged, brushing strands of hair away from Emma's forehead. She prepared for the next contraction. Uncertainty nudged at the edges of her strength again. "What if they're only here because I'm having a baby?" she thought, her chest tightening with each passing second. "What if I go home and it's like before?" No. The word escaped her lips like a vow as a new wave washed over her, stronger and more intense than the last. This was different. She was different. They were different. With each passing second, she could hear the beating of her heart, and something else faint but persistent: her family's laughter from memories past, joy that once seemed lost. "I need you all," she breathed through gritted teeth, more a plea than a statement. Their faces turned, eyes wide and alive. "Stay with me, okay? You don't have to worry," her mother reassured her, firm and kind. "We're not going anywhere. Not now, not ever." A rush of gratitude swelled inside Emma, pushing away the shadows. This was more than support. It was an unspoken promise of love that she had craved for so long. As contractions continued to hit, real and powerful, Emma felt less alone. The act of breathing alongside her family felt almost sacred. Each wave of pain was intertwined with an outpouring of love, stitching her heart back together. Emma was ready to fight, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, sharing this journey with them. With determination igniting her spirit, she pushed through the pain, each breath becoming a mantra, a stirring of hope. It wasn't just the baby she was bringing into the world. It was the chance for a new chapter, new beginnings with her family. The feeling of pushing shifted from fear to fierce resolve. This is ours, she thought, heart racing as adrenaline took over. Every decision she made led to this very moment, and this time she would let love win. Another contraction surged. She clung tightly to her mother and sister, both a shield and a bridge to the future she so desperately wanted. Each passing moment brought Emma closer to the life awaiting her, full of challenges but also overflowing with promise. But as the room filled with silence, a crisp and longing breath echoed through her chest. Could she truly trust in this newfound connection? And then the next contraction hit, and perhaps for the first time, she didn't see it as a mountain to climb, but a bridge into the life she had always dreamed of. Would her family continue to stand beside her when the road got rocky? As she bore down, time seemed to stretch, a single question pulsing in the air: could love really heal old wounds? With a deep, grounding breath, Emma felt the momentum shift once again beneath her. She leaned forward, eyes closing for just a moment as she let the world fall away. In that quiet space, she envisioned her baby's face, small and perfect. The hope of meeting this little being pushed her beyond the pain, filling her with an unexpected joy that flickered like candlelight in the dark. The next contraction hit, fierce and immediate. Emma's fingers dug into her mother's hand, searching for strength in the familiar touch. "I can do this," she whispered to herself. "I have to do this." As another wave rolled through her, she felt her sister squeeze her shoulder. "You're so close, Emma. Just keep breathing. You're amazing." That word, amazing, reverberated in her heart. The reality that she was giving birth, bringing a new life into the world, filled her with a sense of power she had never known. It was familiar yet transformative, a feeling that demanded to be embraced. It was more than just pain and effort. It was love manifesting into form. In the short pauses between contractions, Emma looked at her family. Each of their faces reflected the same mix of anxiety and excitement, but more importantly, they all shared a common purpose now. A bond that had felt fragile just a short while ago was solidifying before her eyes. "Stay with me," she thought again, and each of them seemed to hear her unspoken wish. The nurse returned, her bright smile a comforting reassurance. "You're doing incredible. Just a few more pushes, okay?" Emma nodded, feeling a mixture of urgency and patience wash over her. How could this moment feel so long and yet be over so quickly? The outside world faded further, and with every push, she felt as if she was creating a bridge, not just for her child, but for her family too. "Just like we practiced. Remember?" Her sister reminded her, recalling late-night conversations and soft, shared laughter. The next contraction seized her and instinct surged. With a deep primal growl escaping her lips, Emma pushed with all her might. The silence in the room became electric, filled with nothing but her breath and the murmurs of encouragement swirling around her. Suddenly, there was an unexpected laughter at Emma's left. It was her mother, who had caught the glint of some humor in the face of what felt entirely surreal. "Oh dear. That sounded like a battle cry." Feeling the shared humor, Emma chuckled even amidst the pain, the kind of laughter that knits a family together, tight and unbreakable. "Let it all go, Emma," her sister said, her eyes almost shining with tears. It was both a command and a well of support. It pushed Emma to dive back into the storm of contractions. She held her breath and found her strength in that moment where joy and pain collided. In the midst of the struggle, love weighed heavily in the air around them. Emma grasped onto it, desperate and hopeful. Trust slowly unfurled within, breathing life into the idea that they were together, truly together, ready to weather whatever storms lay ahead. As the contraction reached its peak, she gave one last push, a rush of energy overcoming her as she felt something shift deep within, and then it came a cry. Then another. The sound was raw and alive. The ripple of emotions that followed were indescribable. Joy burst like fireworks in her chest, but confusion and fear still lingered. Is this real? She thought as the nurse placed the swaddled baby in her arms. Emma felt tears slip down her cheeks, a blend of relief and overwhelming love. Could the echoes of laughter and hope truly transform the past? As she gazed down at her baby's tiny face, her heart swelled with unspoken promise. But then doubt crept back in the fear that this closeness might vanish, leaving her alone once more. Could she keep them together, even after all they'd been through? As she held her baby tight, these questions still swirled around her like a hurricane's winds. Would her family remain by her side beyond this moment? The uncertainty continued to pulse through the air around them, a haunting melody. She could not escape. That S when she felt another pull, a flicker of determination ignited from deep within. This is just the beginning, she whispered, fighting to believe it as she held her new reality close. But just as that hope began to take root, her phone buzzed ominously on the table beside her. What news could it carry? Would it be a continuation of this newfound connection, or a reminder of lingering distance? Emma's heart raced as she turned her gaze toward the screen. What would she find waiting for her? Emma's heart pounded, a strange mix of exhaustion and adrenaline coursing through her. With shaky hands she reached for her phone, the bright screen a jarring contrast to the soft, subdued light of the room. It buzzed again, insistently demanding her attention. She glanced down, her eyes widening as she took in the name blinking back at her. Ryan, what could he want now? Her thoughts filled with memories of their last conversation, the unresolved tension lingering like a shadow. The weight of unanswered questions loomed over her as she hesitated in opening the message. Family was supposed to be there. Yet here she was, nearly alone in a room filled with love yet marked by absence. With a deep breath she tapped the notification. The words formed a lifeline, something she didn't know she needed. Emma, we're here with you. We've come as soon as we could. Just got caught in traffic. Can't wait to meet our little star. Tears blurred her vision. Just knowing they were on their way lifted a weight she hadn't realized she was carrying. She was not alone after all. Those small words echoed in her heart, vibrating like the sweet notes of a song she longed to hear. Hope bloomed in her chest, the rich hue of love breaking through the shadows of doubt. See, they're coming, her sister said, as if reading her thoughts, brushing the hair back from Emma's forehead. You're not alone. The hum of anticipation shifted the atmosphere in the room. Suddenly she could feel the air thickening with joy, the pulse of new beginnings. With renewed energy, Emma cradled her baby closer, the little being a tether to all that mattered. She could feel the tiny heartbeat against her chest, and in that moment everything else faded across the hospital room. Her mother had been silent, lost in her thoughts as she watched her daughter. But now, with her hands clasped in front of her, she opened her mouth, a soft smile emerging. No matter what has happened, you will always have us. Always. The sincerity in her mother's eyes struck a chord deep within Emma. It soothed the last remnants of fear that had refused to let go. We've been through so much, Mom, she admitted, her voice thick with emotion. What if things don't change? What if after this we're still distant? Sometimes change begins with the smallest actions, her mother said gently. You've taken the biggest step by bringing this new life into the world. That alone is powerful. We all have our roles to play now. Emma's baby squirmed slightly in her arms, and she smiled through the tears. Being here with you all gives me strength, she said, her heart full. She realized the distance she feared was something they could overcome together. Just then the door opened and Ryan appeared, breathless and a little disheveled. I'm so sorry. The traffic was insane. His eyes widened as they landed on the baby, and he rushed to Emma's side, hovering over her. She's beautiful. The family was starting to gather, filling the room with warm hugs, laughter and tender moments. Yet, Emma felt a swirl of anxiety creeping in again. How could she protect this fragile bond from being broken again? The thought was quickly drowned in the laughter that erupted from Ryan's accidental trip over a piece of equipment. Just as the atmosphere lightened, there was another buzz from her phone. Emma glanced down. It was a group message from her father's number, a simple image that turned the air electric. It was a picture of their family, all of them smiling together. The caption read, "We are with you in spirit. Can't wait to be together again soon. You're not alone, Emma." The warmth spread through her chest, but just as quickly, A twinge of worry flickered in the back of her mind. What did this mean for the future? As laughter and conversation flowed around her, Emma couldn't shake her unease. The comfort of the moment coexisted with uncertainty. What if things could change, but at the same time, what if they didn't? The room buzzed around her, but her heart was still racing. As she looked down at her baby, a thought hit her. Whatever lay ahead, she needed to find a way to bridge the gaps in her family and nurture the love that had just begun to take root. But was she strong enough to face the risks that came with it? Emma took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her choices ahead. What would her first step be? The room began to hum with voices, laughter echoing off the sterile walls. Emma felt the joy of her family surrounding her, but the unease still flickered in the back of her mind, like a candle refusing to go out. She shifted her gaze to Ryan, whose expression alternated between awe and admiration as he took in the scene around him. "Can I hold her?" he asked, glancing from Emma to the tiny girl nestled in her arms. His eyes sparkled with an innocence that made Emma smile. She nodded, and with careful hands she passed her daughter to him. The moment felt monumental, another small thread weaving them together as Emma watched Ryan cradle their baby. A twinge of pride swelled within her. But the knot of worry tightened again. What would they do to keep this family bond strong? She watched him, noticing the way he cooed softly and whispered sweet nothings. There was a part of her that hoped he would realize they were in this together now. "Look at her." Ryan laughed, his excitement palpable. "I can't believe she is finally here. She's perfect." Emma wanted to believe that everything could be perfect. Her heart quaked as she thought about the struggles they had ahead. Navigating this new life felt like standing at the base of a mountain, looking up at the peak, unsure of how to begin the climb. Suddenly, her mother's voice broke through her thoughts. "Ryan, sweetheart, be ready. This little one is going to run you in circles." The room erupted in laughter, and Emma felt the tension ease just a bit more. As her family continued to make jokes and share stories, Emma's attention drifted back to her phone. She wanted to text her father, to tell him how much his message had meant, but part of her hesitated. What if he didn't respond? What if she opened that door and found the same distance she had felt before? "Emma?" Her sister's voice drew her back to the present. "How are you really feeling?" "Honestly?" Emma sighed, glancing at the baby, who was now making small grunting sounds. "I'm scared. This is all new. I want it to work, but I'm afraid of losing what little connection we've just started to build." Her sister moved closer, resting a hand on Emma's shoulder. "It's okay to feel that way. Just remember, you're not alone anymore. No matter what happens, we're right here with you." Emma nodded, hoping her sister was right. She took another deep breath and glanced back at Ryan, who was still lost in adoration of their daughter. A flicker of doubt twisted in her stomach. Would their connection be enough to hold everything together when the reality of life truly set in? It wasn't just about her feelings anymore. It was about their little girl. The stakes felt impossibly high. In that moment, everything she once wanted, a family, a home, love, all seemed within reach, yet precariously balanced on the edge of uncertainty. "Emma!" Ryan's voice pulled her from her thoughts again. "Come see this." He held their daughter up as if presenting her to the world. At that moment, the joy in Ryan's eyes shone bright, and Emma couldn't help but smile back. "What is it?" she asked, moving closer. "There's a dimple," he exclaimed, pointing to a tiny space on their baby's cheek that had just shifted as she squirmed again. Emma's heart melted as she stepped closer, feeling that burst of love fill her up again. Maybe they could manage their fears together. Maybe the road ahead wouldn't be as daunting as it felt at that moment. But just as she let herself feel hopeful, her phone buzzed again. Another group message flashed on the screen, but this one was from Ryan's family. The message was simple but jarring. "Can't wait to see you all at the family dinner next weekend. Excited to celebrate our newest member." Emma's stomach twisted. Was she ready for family gatherings full of territory that was still so uncharted? How would they navigate the potential tensions, the awkward questions? As she glanced back at Ryan, who was beaming with excitement, Emma faced a choice. She could embrace this new life and the opportunities that came with it, but that meant also embracing potential pain. Could she open her heart enough to allow those connections to flourish? She felt the weight of that question settle heavily on her shoulders. With a flicker of determination, Emma made her decision. I'm not backing down, she whispered to herself, just as the laughter from her family swirled around her once more. But the future loomed ahead, fraught with uncertainty. Could she really bridge the divides and create the family she so desperately wanted? Raising her daughter to the sky, Emma took a deep breath, ready for whatever came next. And yet the question remained. How far was she willing to go to ensure they all stayed together? The following days passed in a whirlwind. Emma found herself lost in the chaos of adjusting to life with a new baby. Ryan was eager and present, but every moment felt like a new challenge. Her family had poured into their small apartment, helping with meals, popping by with gifts, and offering endless advice. It both warmed her heart and weighed her down. She smiled as she watched her mother change a diaper, a hilarious clumsy dance of love. Yet as laughter bubbled around her, her heart pulled tight at the thought of Ryan's family dinner looming ahead. The excitement in Ryan's eyes reminded her of how far they'd come, but beneath it pulsed a worry. On Thursday morning, with the weekend drawing near, Emma took a moment to breathe, holding her baby against her chest. The little girl's soft breathing was soothing. In the quiet, however, Emma's thoughts crawled back to Ryan's family. What if they expected her to be a certain kind of daughter-in-law? The thought set her pulse racing. Hey, do you want some coffee? Ryan called from the kitchen, breaking her from her cycle of doubt. Sure, she answered, standing to join him. As she stepped into the small kitchen, the smell of fresh coffee warmed against the clammy worry that clung to her. Look at this, Ryan said, handing her a steaming mug. I found the cutest little dress online for our girl. Do you think it's too much for the dinner? He flipped his phone around to show her. Emma took a sip, the warmth igniting a spark of hope. It's adorable. But will they think we're trying too hard? The words tasted bitter, and she immediately regretted voicing them. Ryan frowned, sensing the tension in her voice. Why do you think they would? She bit her lip, feeling small. I don't know. They just seem so perfect. What if I don't fit in? You will, Ryan reassured her, his eyes steady. You're amazing and you're doing this with me. We've got this together. Emma nodded, hoping he was right, but doubt nagged at her. Could she really play the part of the picture-perfect daughter-in-law? The day crawled by, and every waking minute was filled with thoughts of the dinner. She texted her sister, seeking comfort. What if they ask about my job? What if they know I'm not, I don't know, fancy enough? Her sister's reply came in an instant, full of warmth. You and Ryan are creating your own story. Just be you. They'll see how wonderful you both are. That afternoon, when Emma finally plopped down on the couch to rest, she felt the baby stir beside her. In that moment, everything faded away. Holding her daughter close, she decided to step into the dinner, facing whatever came their way. Later that evening, while Ryan prepared dinner in the kitchen, she took a deep breath and glanced at her phone again. There it was, a message from her dad. Thinking of you, Emma. Can't wait to meet my granddaughter. The warmth in her chest surprised her. Maybe this was a sign. Maybe it was all going to be okay. Just then, Ryan poked his head into the living room. Guess what? I just got a call from my mom. She wants to help plan the dinner. He was beaming, and Emma felt her heart race, but not from excitement. A new kind of fear gripped her. What do you mean? She asked, voice shaky. Ryan continued, oblivious to her dread. She wants to get everyone involved. It'll be great, right? But all Emma could think was, what if they expected too much? Was she ready for this? The clatter of pots echoed from the kitchen, but silence filled the room between them. Emma took a breath, forcing herself to speak. What if it's all too much? Ryan's smile faded and he stepped closer, genuinely confused. Too much? Emma, this is family. The weight of her worries settled heavily on her, a mountain she wasn't sure she could climb. As Ryan reached for her hand, she felt an unexpected wave of determination wash over her. Maybe the unknown ahead was as powerful as the love that had brought them this far. But with every moment, she felt the stakes rising higher. Would opening her heart mean risking a bond with Ryan's family? With that thought swirling in her mind, Emma squeezed Ryan's hand tightly, searching for reassurance. But beneath her calm demeanor, the question lingered. How would she carve her place in a world that felt so foreign? And in that moment, while laughter echoed from the kitchen, she realized she had a decision to make. Emma took a deep breath. The decision loomed large in her mind, casting shadows over her thoughts. She needed to snap out of it, to push away the fears clinging to her like a heavy blanket. Ryan's family would be arriving soon, and she didn't want to plunge herself into a sea of anxious thoughts. "Emma?" Ryan said gently, breaking into her train of thought. "You all right?" She smiled, but it barely reached her eyes. "Yeah, just thinking. About tonight." "Okay," he replied, concern creeping into his voice. "You know, you can talk to me about anything. I mean it." "I know," she said, rubbing her thumb over their entwined fingers. "It's just, I've never really had a big family like yours. I want to make a good impression." Ryan's expression softened. "You already have just by being you. That's all they want." "Right. They want me." But even as she said it, doubt clawed at her. What if they didn't? As the hours turned into the evening and the sun dipped behind the horizon, Emma busied herself with tasks around the house, a choreographed dance of distraction. She folded laundry, tidied the living room, and arranged flowers in a vase. Yet, her mind remained a swirl of concern when the doorbell rang. Her heart jolted. Ryan shot her an encouraging smile before he sprang up to greet their guests. "Just breathe," she whispered to herself, clutching her baby tightly. She felt her heart race in sync with the footsteps approaching their small living room. The door opened wider, and in walked Ryan's parents, followed by his younger sister. Their energy filled the apartment, bright and chaotic like a burst of confetti. Emma's chest tightened at the sight of them, the perfect family, full of laughter and love. "Emma, it's so good to see you," his mom exclaimed, wrapping her in a warm embrace. "Hi," Emma replied, her voice barely above a whisper. She pushed back a wave of emotional fragility. From the corner of her eye, she could see Ryan standing back, watching, not yet aware of the turmoil bubbling inside her. But then, he caught her gaze, and something in his expression told her he understood. They moved to the dining table, which had been filled with delicious home-cooked dishes. The room was rich with aromas, but Emma struggled to focus. As they began to eat, the laughter flowed freely. Stories turned into jokes, and the lightness of their banter clashed with the heaviness pooling in her stomach. Ryan's sister asked Emma about her work, and she could feel the scrutiny upon her. "I am a graphic designer," Emma stammered. "Just starting my own projects." "Starting out, huh? That's cool," his sister replied, offering a bright smile, but the worry still gnawed at her. Would they think she was just another girl trying to figure it all out? As the conversation drifted, Emma felt the disconnect growing. It was like being stuck in a movie where she didn't quite belong. Each laugh from Ryan's family echoed like a reminder of the gap between their worlds. But then, just when she felt the weight was too much, Ryan's mom leaned closer, a knowing look on her face. "You know, family isn't about perfection," she said softly. "It's about heart. It's about love." Emma's breath caught. The words wrapped around her, a soft shield against her insecurities. Maybe she wasn't as out of place as she feared. Suddenly, she felt a rush of courage. "I want to be part of this, your family," she said, surprising even herself. "And I want our daughter to grow up surrounded by that love." The room quieted, and for a moment, the air crackled with tension. Ryan's eyes widened with a mixture of admiration and love. Then the silence broke. "That's all we could ever ask for," his dad said, his approval evident. As they clinked their glasses in a toast, Emma felt the warmth of acceptance begin to thaw the icy doubts hidden inside her. Maybe she could forge her place after all, but deep down, a new concern lingered. What would happen when they met her family? Would they see the same warmth that Ryan's family offered her? With that swirling thought, she leaned against Ryan's shoulder, comforted for the moment, but aware of the road ahead. Life had twisted into an uncertain path, shining with promise but shrouded in worries. And Emma knew the journey was just beginning. The days slid by, a blur of sleepless nights and new routines. Emma's heart carried the weight of uncertainty, but a warmth grew amidst the chaos. Ryan's family had embraced her with open arms. Their laughter filled her apartment, echoing off the walls like music. Each shared meal, every story told, stitched them closer together. In those moments she felt a flicker of belonging she long yearned for. Yet, the lingering worry pulsed in her chest. One looming thought spent countless hours cycling through her mind. How would her family fit into this puzzle? They hadn't been there during her darkest moments, and part of her feared that introducing them to Ryan's family would send everything toppling. Would her family's old habits resurface? Would they recreate the distance she'd worked so hard to close? Emma resolved to bridge that gap. Knowing the family dinner was approaching, she invited her mom and sister to come over, hoping they could form a network of love that wrapped around her like the embrace she had felt so desperately missing. The night felt electrified, anticipation buzzing through her veins like coffee. When the evening finally approached, Emma took time to breathe deeply as she set the table. Each plate was a symbol of hope, a chance for connectivity, bringing together two sides of her life she had once thought incompatible. Ryan, cooking in the kitchen, filled the space with delicious aromas, laughter spilling from him as he bantered with their daughter. The thought of them together warmed her heart. There was a soft knock at the door, and her pulse quickened. She opened the door slowly, her family standing there with nervous smiles. Her mom carried a small vase of flowers as a peace offering, and Emma felt a rush of gratitude. "Come in," she invited, her voice steadier than she felt as they stepped inside. Emma caught a glimpse of her mother's face, nervous but softened by love. Ryan emerged from the kitchen, wiping his hands on a towel, and Emma introduced her family with a smile, excited yet anxious. "This is my family," she said, her voice bright even as her heart raced. Ryan stepped forward, extending a hand to Emma's mother. "It's great to finally meet you. Emma talks about you a lot." Their mother's surprise turned into a warm chuckle as they exchanged pleasantries, the formality easing into a gentle rhythm. Conversations danced in the air, laughter mingling with the aroma wafting from the kitchen as the meal began. Ryan shared stories about Emma's strengths as a mother, how fiercely she loved their daughter. Emma felt pride swell in her chest. Yet she also wondered if her family could understand the bond they'd formed. Even as her heart ached, she held hope tightly, willing it to flourish. "Emma is making such a wonderful home for our girl," Ryan continued, glancing at her, his gaze radiating warmth. "I couldn't have asked for a better partner." His words rang through the air, a melody of affection and admiration. That shift in the conversations provided Emma the space she needed to express her own truth. "I want you all to feel the love our daughter is growing up in," she said, her heart pounding but determined. "Both families matter to her, and I want us to create something beautiful together." Her mom's eyes glistened with understanding. "You're right, Emma," she replied softly. "We should support you. Your happiness matters to us." The tension in the room lightened a touch, as if barriers were beginning to dissolve. The conversations flowed smoothly, merging the stories and pasts of each family. Laughter mingled with compassionate questions, and they navigated memories that held pain, but also moments that sparkled with possibility. As the night progressed, the night air thick with connection, Emma dared to glance at Ryan. His reassuring smile spoke volumes, grounding her amidst the uncertainty swirling in her mind. With every question and joke exchanged, Emma felt the weight of apprehension dissolve a little more. Each laugh felt like a stitch, weaving her families into a single tapestry. Perhaps love could indeed bridge the gaps. But then as dessert arrived, a wave of vulnerability crashed over her. This was just one dinner. What about future family gatherings? What if her family slipped back into their ways? What if they alienated Ryan's family, turning the joy of the evening sour? Closing her eyes, she gathered her thoughts. "Can we promise each other to always keep communication open?" Emma ventured, her voice steady despite the concerns swirling beneath the surface. "I want our families to know each other genuinely." Ryan nodded confidently, his eyes resolute. "Absolutely. Building a family means facing the ups and downs together." Emma's mom added, "We will be a united front for you. We're here for the long haul." Tears brimmed Emma's eyes. "Thank you," she said, overwhelmed by the hope ignited in that moment. Around that table, surrounded by laughter and love, Emma felt the promise woven into every heartbeat, every shared glance. In the embrace of this new family dynamic, she could see the flicker of a future full of potential as they shared stories late into the night. The weight of doubt slid from her shoulders. Each shared laugh etched deeper ink into the pages of their story, one she never dreamed she could write in that cozy apartment. The first seeds of connection planted with strength and intention, Emma felt the thrilling pulse of possibility course through her. She could turn the uncertainty into love, and together, they would face whatever came next. And somewhere deep inside her, she finally believed maybe, just maybe, They would build a family that could endure anything as the laughter echoed through the walls. Emma held on to that joy, knowing this was just the beginning of something extraordinary. Not just for her, the mom, the partner, the daughter, but for all their hearts intertwined in a brighter, more promising future. Now more than ever, Emma felt ready to embrace every challenge, every cherished moment, side by side. This chapter was theirs, and she was grateful for the adventure that lay ahead, a venture not just of love, but of transformation, binding them in ways she had always longed for. And so she took a breath, a warm smile blooming on her face. This was just the start of their incredible journey together, and she couldn't wait to see all the beautiful moments unfold. As the room echoed with laughter, Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. She chose love, and that choice would change everything. Now it was time to let the world see just how beautiful their story would be. Don't wait another moment. If you loved this story, now is the time to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help grow our community. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this heartwarming transformation. This is the moment to shine together. Don't wait not even one more second to share and connect. True fans understand the power of making this community thrive.